the way I termed it, and I don't know if we're looking at it differently, there are names that you got to bring these guys back, meaning if they're not back, you find yourself going, okay, now what do we do? How do we replace them?
Yeah.
The next group were guys I would like to have them back, but if they're not back, do I think it alters the trajectory of this team? No, I don't. I think they can be replaced. If you gave me my preference, I'd like them back, but you can't bring everybody back. So just kind of keeping that in mind, yeah, like them, be awesome. They absolutely have a spot on the roster, but is it going to be the difference between them getting to the playoffs or not? In my opinion, no. And then the last one was just, hey, I called it good luck on your trip out of Seattle. Those are the ones that I feel like we're good. It's you're going to find work somewhere else. It's going to be great. You know, one of those. So, but our lists are pretty dramatically different because I only had 3 names in my must retain. Like it's going to be a problem if this guy's not back. And my 3 were Ryan Neal, Geno Smith, and Phil Haynes is the guy that I think Phil Haynes is a better guard than Gabe Jackson. In fact, if they wanted to release Gabe Jackson, I don't know. I'd have to look at the salary cap implications. I feel he's been a bit of a disappointment, to say the least, since he's been here, and I think Phil Haynes is a better guard. So to me, he's more pressing. But those were the only 3 that I looked at and said, yeah, if they don't have this guy, I feel like that's problematic.
Yeah.
And then your list was a little longer.
Well, I mean, you have a 53-man roster.
Yeah.
You can't sign, and here's what they just off the top of my head last year they signed: Disley, Diggs, Penny, and then
Geno,
Artie Burns, Chenna Nwosu, Austin Blythe, Justin Coleman, Marquise Goodwin, and Quentin Jefferson. So that's what, 8, 9 guys. And Geno. So, yeah, 10 guys. I mean, you got to keep some of these guys. I mean, they're a huge part of your team. And I think locking down the quarterback situation by signing Geno and Drew is a huge deal. And then, for me, Ryan Neal, I mean, you have to have him because of the possible Jamal Adams might get hurt again. And then
I agree. So you've got Drew Lock you've got to bring him back.
Yeah. That's what I think, because you got to have a backup quarterback, and I think you can get him. Nobody's going to want Drew Lock. I don't think anybody sees Drew Lock as being what they see, unless like Mark Schlereth was, and maybe that's what happens. Maybe he got a lot of that from Sean Payton. That because they're buddies, and he keeps it on the down low, but they do talk a lot, and so maybe that's somebody that he sees something that Mark saw, and that was that Drew Lock did not ever in college or in the pros play in a quarterback friendly type of offense. But some of them are just because I think that we've been a little bit too critical. Michael Jackson, he had 12 passes broken up. I just think he's absolutely necessary. I think he's your starting corner. I mean, I feel like that's a guy you have to bring back. Austin Blythe, I don't know where everybody went south on Austin Blythe. I had a couple of times where I thought he got, because of his size, that he got manipulated a little bit by defensive linemen, bench pressed a couple of times. But, your guards can help you out with that. But he is just an incredibly smart player. I was a little frustrated, and this is my list, by Poona Ford last year. He only had 3 sacks.
These are all guys you think must come back.
Yeah, because you got to have depth on your defensive line.
I'm not saying you don't fill these spots. I'm just saying we're talking about the individual. What do they do? Obviously, if they lose a wide receiver, they bring in another one.
But how are you going to fill it? Because, like I said, they signed 8, and then they've got, I think, 8 or 9 draft choices. So, I mean, if you let go, there's 33 guys here. If you let go, 22 of them or whatever, I mean, that's a lot that you're going to have to make up for. And I think Poona doesn't need to be thrown away because, of a defense that I don't think really worked out.